Hi guys, and welcome to Petrolheads London, and some rather unfamiliar surroundings today, and I will explain all about that in a second. However, first things first, if you've not watched one of these before, the thing to remind you is what this is 5 minutes at 5 PM every Wednesday. A little roundup from me, Tom. This is my channel, Petrolheads London, just around some of the news and stuff going around about bikes and cars, and also a little bit about stuff coming on my channel. So first things first, if you are the first to comment, you will get a shout out on next week's video. And that this week goes again for the second week in a row to Malcolm Brew. So thank you, Malcolm, for that. Also remember, I'm really keen to hear your questions, and I want to start adding a section to this 5 at 5 to answer your questions in this video. So please pop those below. I know some are popping up around my exhaust and stuff on other videos, and I will try and address those in due course. So why am I here? And actually also the reason I'm here is probably going to dictate a little bit about what I can talk about on this week's video. So if you've been following me on Instagram and social media, where I tend to post a lot of the stuff quite early on, I've been on an epic road trip on my BMW S1000R. And I thought I'd talk a bit about that today in my 5 at 5. Because if I'm honest, I've spent so long on the bike, trying to catch up with any car and bike news has been really, really difficult. We've had 7-8 hour days most days on the bike, traveling just over 2,000 miles over the space of 10-11 days on the road. So starting in France, through Belgium, down into the French Alps, Austria, Switzerland, and kind of the story continues. But why do I want to talk about the S1000R? So this was a bike I bought over the previous bike I had, which was a BMW GS. Now you would have thought the 1200 GS would be the ideal tourer, but the thing for me it lacked, don't get me wrong, a fantastic bike, and if I had multiple bikes it would undoubtedly be in my garage, but it lacked to me some of that fun factor that I had previously in sports bikes or super sports bikes. And although I wanted to love the RR, the S1000R to me just is, it brings a smile to my face. It is a sublime bike. But this was a real test of its flexibility and its kind of dual personality, because yes, it's great as a weekend bomber, out to the coast, enjoy the twisty roads, but is it any good on a long trip like this? And I have to say, yes, it's fantastic. And even though I thought it would be great, it's outstepped my expectations about actually how good it can be on such long journeys. And we've done most of this, I'd say about 95% of it, off motorways, because frankly, that's not why we ride motorbikes, to do that kind of riding. What we wanted to do was enjoy as many of these fantastic country roads as possible, mountain passes, the twisties and the switchbacks. And even with the luggage on, so you might see here I've got my Krieger bags all packed up ready to take down to the bike, which is down below at the moment, you don't really feel the weight on there. I've been playing around a little bit with the suspension, so I had it set for 2 passengers at one point, but I actually think just with one was fine, so it doesn't harden it too much. And it's been, as I said, just a real perfect tourer, and this is one of the reasons I love this bike, and I want to try and do more stuff about it on the channel. But hopefully when I do the videos about this trip, which if you know how I do my channel is I try not to do all the stuff while I'm out and about, there is so much footage to get through. In my mind, I'm trying to do a 3-part series around the trip to Europe and give you an idea of kind of what it was like. So again, keen to hear what people think about that, and I can always add in some commentary to talk around some of those bits. But the bike has been phenomenal. It has not missed a heartbeat. The new exhaust is exquisite. The only thing I would say about that is it got me a bit too much attention sometimes. And in France and Spain especially, they do random roadside checks. And although we managed to escape those, there were some very close calls where they heard me coming and saw 3 bikes, because we're usually in a 2 and a 3, because there's 5 of total here. They looked at us like they wanted to pull us over. And although we've done nothing wrong, obviously it's just a hassle, especially we're on a tight timeline to travel so far. So, you know, there's probably pros and cons about the exhaust, and I've read quite a few things on forums about in Spain, them giving people a little bit of a hard time for loud exhaust. But then I saw Baron von Grumbel's video with his exhaust, and he rode down to south of Spain, no problem. So, Really what this video about is the S1000R. It is the perfect all-rounder, and do you know what? I've proven it on this trip. I put the bigger touring screen on, so if you've seen my video preparing for a European tour, which will be the first video as part of this trip, you will see the bits and pieces that I've done to it. Anyway, sorry I haven't been able to bring you any news about some of the other stuff going on. Next week, hopefully, we will resume as normal. That's everything for this week's 5 at 5. Please remember to comment below and I will answer your questions in next week's video. More importantly, see if you can build Malcolm to being the first to comment on this week's video so you get a shout out next. That's all guys, you take care, cheers.